UFC Fight Night. Brandon Moreno is going to be making his return as he's going to be fighting Amir Albazi. I'm going to be breaking down every fight on the card from the very first to the very last. So let's get into it. The first fight, we have an absolutely exhilarating women's flyweight fight. One that's been talked about for years and years and years. And the fan interest, I don't understand why this isn't a pay-per-view main event, to be quite honest with you. Jamie Lynn Hurt versus Ivana Petrovic. An absolute cracker. An absolute cracker. Not like this fucking shit that no one wants to see, and it's the first on an early prelims for a reason. But yeah, man. I mean, who cares? Like, I'll be fucking honest. Like, who cares? But you know, it's actually quite a decent fight. Both of them have 7-1. Both got wins in the UFC, but they're both quite fresh in the UFC as well. Do you know what I mean? Ivana Petrovic is in the UFC about a year and a half. Jamie's in it about a year and a half as well. So they've only got one loss on the record. So it's actually quite a high level fight. I'm going Ivana Petrovic by submission in this one, to be quite honest with you. She absolutely loves a rear naked choke. Both of these are grapplers, so maybe they might get the fight to just be standing. And I do think Jamie Lynn Hurt has a better stand up. She's got more finishes on her record than Ivana Petrovic. So, but I'm going to go Ivana Petrovic by second round submission. Next up, we have Cody Gibson, Chad Anglier. I'm actually a Cody Gibson fan. I'm going to go with Cody Gibson on this one. You know, he kind of has like a real hit and miss kind of thing. Like, his record's not the best. He got double digit losses, but you know, he's lost people like Brad Katona, Miles Johns, which is, you know, these are fucking decent fighters. Ray Borg as well. He's got some good wins. Like, he is coming off a nice win over Brian Kelleher, first round submission. John Dodson as well, he beat him. These are some good wins. Chad, he hasn't really beat anyone main straight in UFC. Like, he's been in the UFC a good few years, so he definitely has experience. He was on the Contender Series. 2 losses in the UFC, so it's not like it's tragic. But I'd say Cody Gibson. I like Cody Gibson's speed. And I like how... I just don't think Cody Gibson... I've never seen Cody properly gas out to a point where I'm like, oh shit, he's completely fucked here. So I trust Cody Gibson to get this one done. You know, he's had a fucking bit of a shitter in the UFC so far. Like, he was even on Eagle FC, which is actually insane to think. Like, this is his kind of second time round in the UFC. Like, he's been in the UFC for fucking 10 years, like, which is impressive. But it's also like, oh man, maybe you're just not cut out for this. Do you know what I mean? So I'll go with Cody Gibson on that one. I'll go Cody Gibson by decision. Next up, Gareth Armfield versus Surrey City. This is actually a good scrap. I quite like this one. I'm going to go with Gareth Armfield on this one. He's a nice little underdog in this fight. There seems to be like a common thing of just beating Brad Katona on a lot of these fighters. He's had some, you know, he's kind of been hit and miss as well. He fought on Shamrock FC, which is nothing to be proud of. He's got like a loss over David Onoma. David Onoma's quite decent, but he's never going to really push on to be anything. And he is coming off a loss against Brady Histon. Like, he's gone through absolute wars, and he's got some decent level skills, but nothing that I'm going to be like, there's a reason these fighters are all on the early prelims. That's all I'm going to say. City, you know, Canadian, he's coming off a split decision loss to Raymond Tavares. You know, he hasn't got a win in the UFC. And after the Neil Magny fight in Canada, in January, I don't think I'll ever bet on a Canadian fighter ever again. He hasn't got a win in the UFC. Gareth Armfield, he's got a bit of experience. I like him in this fight. I think experience is going to pull through in this one. I think he's going to get it done by decision, to be honest with you. He's got some good hands, but, you know, again, early prelims for a reason. City, he liked to finish fights, but then again, when you get that level of competition jump up, the UFC compared to fucking, you know, all these other promotions, they're not the same, and there's a solid reason. So I'm going to go Gareth Armfield via decision on that one. Next up, Alexander Romanov, Rodrigo Nascimento. This is the dude that got his fucking like teeth caved in by Derek Lewis, I think, or something like that. So remember that guy that got his fucking head caved in by Derek Lewis? You know what I mean? Like, these heavyweight fights are just so hard to predict because I just feel like they're just fat heavyweights and one of them is just going to land first. I am going to go with Romanov, though, because this dude got knocked out by Chris Daukaus in the first round. I don't give a fuck if that was nearly 4 years ago. That is an unforgivable sin. Okay, and he only lost since then is Derek Lewis. But like you cannot get knocked out by fucking Dawkins. Like that is just an unforgivable sin. Romanov, he really fell off. Like this dude was undefeated at a time. You lose to Tybura, you lose to fucking Volkov. That is just, I think that's pretty tragic, you know what I mean? And it's not like he's got any wins, and he got submitted by Jelton Almeida. You beat Inovov, you beat Sherman. These are all decent wins, but you're just losing to anyone that's half decent. But I'm going to go with you because I feel like you're just going to land that one punch first. Because let's be honest, that's all heavyweight is for 97% of heavyweights. You have like the Tom Aspinalls and Cyril Gans that actually have a bit of technique and can actually work around the cage and not just be like, oh shit, I hope I land first or else I'm getting knocked out. I'll go Romanov by first round KO, but I won't be surprised if he gets fucking chinned. Whoever lands first. Next up, my actual most anticipated fight on this card, Jack Shore versus Yusuf Salal. Jack Shore's had a bit of a tough run at it. I really did not think featherweight was the move for Jack Shore because I watched him in his last fight. Bro, he just looked a bit like he just looked a bit chubby in there. Not chubby, but he just looked like he was a featherweight or bantamweight that just took a short notice fight and moved up. You know what I mean? I didn't see like a proper strength and conditioning build to where Jack Shore is now a featherweight. Obviously, he knows fucking his body, you know what I mean? But I just felt he was on such a good run at bantamweight and he was actually finishing fights as well some of the time. I felt like he could have done well there, man. I felt like he could have done well in bantamweight. But then again, if you can't make the weight, you just can't make the weight. You know what I mean? He's got a lot of skills, Jack Shore, and I still think he's very good. But you're in killer's row of featherweight, and that I think the grappling he had at bantamweight was his biggest asset because there aren't a lot of massive amount of bantamweights that can really control people on the ground, and I really felt that was his thing where he was able to control people on the ground at bantamweight. He was strong for that weight class. He was big. I really felt that's why he had so much momentum. He's coming off of kind of like a doctor stoppage loss. Now he was losing that fight, but you could argue, and I would agree with this, that his only loss is Ricky Simon. And that was his last fight at bantamweight, I'm pretty sure. So, he's got some decent wins in his record, but Yusuf Salal, this dude's been on an absolute fucking tear. He had a really hard time Ilia Topuria and Sean Woodson before he lost in the UFC. Ilia Topuria didn't even finish this guy, which is mad. He beat people like Jordan Griffin, Peter Barrett. He's got some good wins, and he finished Billy Quarantino second round submission, and then he submitted Jarno Earns. I'm thinking about boxer guy, but he submitted him in the first round, and he was on an absolute tear in the regional scene. I remember I kept in the loop with this guy's career because I was like, damn, I think that guy's fucking good, and I watched him all the way through. He was getting back to the UFC, and he looked good, man. He looked good. I'm gonna go with Yusuf on this one. I think he's riding a fucking hell of a lot of momentum here. Jack Shore, this fight kind of seemed to happen on short notice. I'm not 100% sure if it was short notice for Yusuf, but yeah, it just kind of came out of nowhere, really. Jack Shore usually fights once a year, and he's usually saved for the England cards, and he didn't fight on the Manchester one in July. Now he's back with this one, so I'm going to go with Yusuf on this one, and I actually think he's going to finish Jack Shore. I think he's going to submit him. I just think Jack Shore might get him down, and he's going to end up in a world of fucking difficulties on that ground, to be honest with you. Because, Yusuf, he's finishing fights on the ground, and Jack Shore's world is the ground, man. Jack Shore's world is the ground. I do rate Jack Shore's striking. It is quite decent, but it's not great, and it's good defensively, so in certain aspects, but I think his offensive, maybe jab is definitely his best attribute. But let's be honest here, his fucking wrestling is his main point, and I think Yusuf's going to be able to wrap him up in some bad positions in this fight. So I'm going to go with Yusuf via second round submission. Next up on the card, we have Charles Johnson versus Victor Henry. Charles Johnson, you know what I mean, really kind of let me down when he fought Nathaniel Wood. I thought that was going to be a good fight for him. Ended up getting absolutely fucking pieced up. But I do think Charles Johnson will win this fight. Canadian fighters, they really seem to shit the bed in Canada. For some reason, you know what I mean? They just crumble under pressure, apparently. But I like Charles Johnson's skill set. I think he's kind of well-rounded everywhere. He is coming off 2 losses. He did get finished by Gene Silva, second round. He split decision against Sean Woodson as well. That's not a great win. Kind of got a little bit of momentum back a few while ago. You're losing to Shane Burgos as well. Like, he kind of seems to lose to anyone that's got like a high-level skill set. Man, bring Shane Burgos back as well. That dude was a fucking stud. That was one of the biggest tragedies to let him go. But Victor Henry, he's coming off 2 wins, coming off third round submission against Rani Yaya. He's been kind of hit and miss as well. He lost to Rafael Asensio, which is actually quite a good fighter. I'm actually going to go with Victor Henry on this one, to be honest. I'm going to go with Victor Henry on this one. Charles Johnson just seems to shit the fucking bed, man. He seems to shit the bed. He literally cannot get out of that unranked spot, in my opinion. He's just the biggest unranked merchant of all time, and it's not as even if that's bad. Like, he's got some decent skills. Like, I like Charles Johnson's... Charles Jourdain. Charles Johnson, Charles Jourdain. Fucking hell. Charles Jourdain's striking's decent. He's got some high-level grappling in certain areas, you know what I mean? Nothing, like, to get a submission threat or anything like that, but he's got some decent skills. Victor Henry, he's 3-1 in the UFC. He's got a lot of decisions on his record, but he also loves to finish fights as well. That third round TKO coming off, that's going to be a good momentum thing. And Charles Jourdain's coming off 2 losses, so he's not going to be full of confidence. So I'll go Victor Henry at that. I'll go Victor Henry by second round KO. Next up, Jasmine Jasudavicius versus Ariana Lipski. Another absolutely thrilling women's fight that is just, everyone's licking their lips in the crowd. The stadium will be fucking full. I'm going to go with Jasmine on this one, to be honest with you. I think she's just a little bit better everywhere, to be honest. She's coming off two good wins. Her biggest loss is Tracy Cortez, who is one of the best women's fighters in that division, in many different areas. You know, grappling and wrestling and striking and things like that. You know, it's very well-rounded, you could say. Ariana Lipski, very fucking hit and miss. Very hit and miss. Gets really good wins. Casey O'Neill gets a nice little win streak going, and then just fucking seems to just not keep the momentum, man. Seems to just not keep the momentum. I don't really trust her in this fight. So I'm going to go with Jasmine on this one. I'll go with her I'll go with decision on this one. She doesn't really like finishing fights. I know she's got like 1 finish on her entire record, but still. Next up, we have one of the most underrated bantamweights, Pedro Munoz, versus one of the most clinical families in the sport, Amir Zahabi. Pedro Munoz is so fucking hit and miss, man. So hit and miss. Like, this dude loses to so many good people, but then gets like a quality win. Like, he's lost to John Dodson, Aljamain Sterling, Frankie Yeager, Jose Aldo, Dominic Cruz, Cheeto, Kyler Phillips. He's got some good wins though. You know, Cody Garbrandt, he finished Cody Garbrandt. He beat Brett Johns. He beat Chris Gutierrez. That was a fucking good win. Rob Font, you know, he submitted Rob Font. He was arguably beating Sean O'Malley, which I don't believe, but some people would say that. This is quite a good fight. I like Pedro Munoz in this fight, man. I I just think he's a little bit too... I like Pedro Munoz's experience in fights. Although he mightn't have like the overall skill set to ever win anything in the sport, he's got like a good level of IQ. And Zahabi, you know, he's got some... He is good, but he's not really fought anyone high level. Like Ricky Taras, you know, these are, you know, no one cares. And I just feel like Pedro Munoz's experience is going to play in this fight. It's going to be a boring fight, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a boring fight. I think Pedro's just going to pick at range and fucking just do his thing at range and hopefully work on the inside. Maybe even get him up against the cage. And might be able to do a bit of damage there. But Zahabi's got a good skill set. 100% has a good skill set. And but I like Pedro Munoz a lot. I'm going to go Pedro Munoz decision. Next up, Mike Mallet is getting fucking destroyed by Trevin Giles. I don't give a fuck what anyone says, okay? After that absolute heap of shit that I saw, and I mean absolute heap of fucking shit I saw against Neil Magny, I don't care if he's fighting a flyweight with one leg. I am never, ever betting on that guy. That was the biggest fucking disgrace I have ever seen. And I truly could not care who he fights or anything. That was the biggest joke I've ever seen. And I hope Trevin, absolutely dismantles him. Because Mike Mallet, that was an absolute embarrassment, bro. I was watching that. I was like, what are you doing, you absolute numpty? Yeah, don't want to say anything more about that guy. Trevin's going to absolutely smoke him. Even though he probably won't, I'm still going to say it because I'm not picking Mike Mallet ever again in a single fight known to human history. Next up, Marc-Andre Barriault versus Dustin Slotvas. This is actually a good scrap. I like this one. I'm going to go Marc-Andre on this one. He is coming off 2 losses. One of them to Joe Pyfer. Joe Pyfer had a lot of hype back then. Do you know what I mean? Joe Pyfer used to have so much hype back in the day. And he lost to Chris Curtis split decision, which, you know, could have went either way. But he, I like his hands, you know what I mean? Like, he has got submission threat as well. He's got 1 or 2 submissions on his record. But the thing about this fight is Dustin as well, I don't really see an awful lot of finishing threat in this fight. Like, I don't see an awful lot of finishing threat. Like, he gets finished a lot. Gerald Mearshart finished this guy. Abus Magomedov finished this guy. Bruno Ferreira finished this guy. He's very, 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 very liable to get finished, and I don't trust that. So I'm gonna go with Marc-Andre on this one. I do like his hands, and he has good control time of grappling as well. Doesn't really have that much submission threat, to be honest with you. Like, he's only got 1 submission in his entire career. He's got decent hands compared to his grappling or submission threat, I should say. Sorry, but again, you know, I don't really see either of these guys really pushing for anything in this division. You know, especially considering how tragic middleweight is. You know, these guys aren't really offering anything so fresh to me that I'm going to be able to look at these guys and say, okay, in a few years, these guys might climb the ranks. Nah, man. Nah, it's just not happening. But anyway, I'm gonna go with Marc-Andre, and I'm gonna go with a decision on this one. I just don't think Dustin's that good, and he's very liable to be finished. I would not be surprised if he gets him out there with like a ground and pound kind of finish towards the end of one of the rounds. Maybe holds him down for 3 minutes of a round and then gets some nice shots off, and maybe just land some elbows and the ref steps in. That could happen as well. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Marc-Andre on that one. Next up, Brenson Ribeiro versus Chao Machado. Light heavyweight fight. You know, very, very kind of limited skill set. Machado was a heavyweight. You know, he fought people like Mick Parkin. Mick Parkin's actually quite decent as well. For heavyweight, it did okay in that fight. To be fair, I've seen worse performances. Brenson Ribeiro coming off 2 losses as well. Neither of these guys have any staple wins within their division. Literally none at all. So it's kind of hard to say this is going to be a high level fight. Both of them just kind of have like wins and finishes in the first round against nobodies. I do think there will be a finish in this fight. I'll go Brenson Ribeiro, to be honest with you. Like, he's finished a lot of fights via multiple ways. Like, you know, he has ground and pound option. He has submission options. Not to say Machado doesn't, but I kind of like Brenson Ribeiro's chances in this fight. He hasn't got a win in the UFC either, Machado. So that's kind of a... Neither of them actually do. Sorry. So winner takes a fucking UFC fucking win, and the loser's probably going to get cut from the sport. If they both lose in their next fight, if they both win in their next fight, probably should get cut because no one cares about these kind of fights, and they're just taking up some time. I'll go Brenson Ribeiro by first round ground and pound. Next up, Derek Lewis is back, and he's going to be taking on Janato Diniz. This is quite an obvious fight. I see how it's going. Who is going to land first? Because let's be honest here, that's what heavyweight MMA is. Derek Lewis, absolutely no skill set apart from heavy hands. Dude crumbles when he can't knock you out because that's all he has and he has no other option. This dude has fought for world titles. World fucking titles, bro. And he's one of the shittest well-rounded fighters we've ever seen. But he's the most knockouts in UFC history. Like, it's just, heavyweight MMA is funny to me because it's just whoever lands first. That's all you have to do is land in heavyweight MMA. Like, there's a reason these guys have no skill set but just have heavy fucking hands. And I do hope Derek Lewis wins, because who doesn't love Derek Lewis? He's funny as fuck. Seems like a pretty chill dude. His balls are hot as well. So I'm gonna go with Derek Lewis getting chinned by first round. Simply because it's just like, I feel like he has literally no striking defense either. That's the thing. Like, Curtis Blades should have went in there and fucking smoked that guy. Like, we all saw what Cyril Gallon did to him. Picked that range and absolutely dismantled him. He's just another fat heavyweight that's going to probably land first, a little bit quicker than Derek Lewis. Mightn't have the experience, but has the hand speed, in my opinion. So I'm going to go with him on that one. Next up, actually quite a decent women's fight, which is one of the very rare times you're going to hear me say that. We have Rose Namajunas taking on Erin Blanchfield. Erin Blanchfield really kind of took this fucking sport by storm. That's a bit far, but definitely had the eyes of people when she was kind of coming up, because she was undefeated, I believe, or she had just had one loss, and she had very promising grappling. Like, I remember 2 years ago, a lot of people were saying, like, damn, like, is this the one to beat, Valentina Shevchenko and stuff like that, but never really came to fruition. Rose Namajunas, she's one of the most loved fighters in the sport. Like, everyone loves a bit of Rose, but so fucking inconsistent. Like, you just going around, I'm the best. Shut up, man. Like what are you talking about? You had the most boring fight in UFC history. Like, that was up there with Izzy Romero level shit, or Ngannou versus fucking Derek Lewis. Do you know what I mean? And you going around screaming, I'm the best. What are you on, bruv? Now, Rose actually has good skill sets. She has good skill sets. Like, she's on a bit of a, not a tear, but she's on a good kind of run here of Amanda Ribas versus Tracy Cortez. Erin Blanchfield, she lost to Manafiro, which is, pretty shit win, to be fair. Like, that kind of really halted a good bit of her hype. Because she had some good wins against, like, Molly McCann. I know Molly McCann's shit, but, Jessica Andrade, Talio Santos. Like, these are fucking good wins. Do you know what I mean? These are good wins, but she kind of fell short in that last hurdle, but I do think she's going to get this one done. I think she's just going to be able to take Rose Namajunas down. She's got decent level of ground and power as well, but, she submitted Jessica Andrade, which is pretty good. Like, she's got a good submissions threat as well. Rose, it's so hit and miss. Like, do you know what I mean? She lost to Fira as well. Both lost via decision. I'm pretty sure she lost that one in France as well. That was kind of a return fight. But she's got some fucking quality wins, man. Like, she's beat Zhang Weili twice, knocked her in the first round. Beat Jessica Andrade. I know she lost to Jessica Andrade, but she got that one back. Beat Joanna Jędrzejczyk twice. Fucking good wins, man. Good wins. But I just think Erin Blanchfield still has that level of momentum. You know what I mean? She still has that level of momentum. Her only loss, apart from that one that she suffered back in March, was Tracy Cortez ages ago. Like, back in 2019. So yeah, I like Erin Blanchfield in this one. She's 6-1 in the UFC. She's got a decent level skill set for women's MMA. Let's be honest, Rose Namajunas is probably past her prime. She hasn't got a seriously good skill set compared to what she had now, as regards, like, she's a little bit slower. I just don't know if I trust Rose's mindset as much as I used to before. Which is a bit of a shame, because she was very entertaining back in the day. And it's not to say she isn't now, but I just think prior, she's kind of lost a bit of her speed. And I also kind of think she's lost the mental space as well to really push on and get shit done. But that was always a bit of a thing with Rose sometimes. But yeah. I'm going to go with Erin Blanchfield decision, sorry. Main event, Brandon Moreno versus Amir Albazi. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but I will be champion. And he is back, and he's going to be taking on Amir Albazi. I actually really like this fight. I think this is a good main event, to be honest with you. I'm for it. Amir Albazi got gifted a fucking decision over Kai Car France nearly a year and a half ago. Which is a while, man. He's been inactive. I know he pulled out due to injury, which was a really fucking bad injury as well. Against Brandon Moreno, who's meant to be fighting Moreno. This fight makes sense. This fight makes sense in ways because Amir Albazi, he beat Kai Car France. I didn't think he beat Kai Car France. I thought Kai won that fight. I started a bit more. And if memory serves, I just thought he did well on damage. You know what I mean? Just did a little bit more on the feet. For 3 out of the 2 rounds, I can't remember which rounds. That fight's a while ago, but I like Moreno in this fight, man. I like Moreno in this fight. I know he's coming off two decision losses. You could argue he beat Royval. I didn't think so, but a lot of people did. Same with Pantoja. I thought he lost both of them fights, but the Royval fight, there was something off about Moreno in that fight, and something to do with Royval, but he just seemed a bit like gun shy or something. Like he didn't go for it. It's not usually Moreno. Like Moreno's usually like, I'm going to fucking end you, or I'm going to get ended. Do you know what I mean? He's always like, even the Figueiredo fights, like they were unbelievable scraps. And he finished Kai Car France. I know that's over 2.5 years ago, but still, he's got some wins over Figueiredo. He beat Kai Car France twice. The problem with flyweight is why I like this fight so much is it's a bit of a breath of fresh air. This isn't a rematch for fucking Moreno again. It was Kai Car France, then Figueiredo, then Royval. Like, he's beating all these guys. You know what I mean? So it's good to get some fucking fresh blood in there against Moreno. I think Moreno's going to be too much for him. I trust in Moreno's takedown defense to be able to keep this one standing enough to where he's going to be able to land the shots he needs. Amir Albazi, I don't really like his striking. You know what I mean? He's obviously going to be trying to take this to the ground. He is impressive, though. Like, he's undefeated in the UFC. He's 5-0. He has got finishes. Like, it's not as if he's completely tragic. Do you know what I mean? Like, he has got a good few finishes. But I think when he fights that real top of the division, I think he's going to be lacking a little bit of kind of offensively threatening, like someone like Moreno. I think he felt that in the Kai Car France fight. Like, Kai Car France got submitted by Brandon Royval. Moreno finished him as well. So I feel like when Amir Albazi is going to be taking these step-ups, and I'm only going off this with the Kai Car France fight, I think he's going to be fighting lads with like extreme skill sets. Like Brandon Moreno is one of the best flyweights ever. Okay, probably the 3rd best flyweight ever. Or 4th, like Pantoja is probably better now that I think about it. But like DJ, Figueiredo, Pantoja, Moreno, they're kind of the best flyweights we've ever had so far, in my opinion anyway. And Cejudo as well, of course. I'm thinking more flyweights as I talk now, but I just think Amir Albazi is going to run into some problems with his striking, because I feel like at this level, like people with heavy grappling approaches, you need to be able to have some sort of a fucking threat with your hands, so the takedown isn't always expected. Because Amir Albazi, I don't see him having any fucking problem with Moreno on the feet. I don't see Moreno having any problem with him on the feet. Like, he's not going to have any offensive threat to Moreno on the feet, which Moreno's going to be like, cool, I know he's going to shoot for legs. I need to be careful on the feet, but I know he's going to be shooting for legs. I don't need to worry an awful lot about a fucking overhand right coming in and absolutely clocking me, like Kai Car France, or a knee up the middle like Royval. Do you know what I mean? Or a combination like Pantoja. And Amir Albazi just does not have that, in my opinion. And that's why I'm picking Moreno in this fight, because Moreno's grappling is fucking sick. Okay, it's fucking sick. He submitted Figueiredo. That's a fucking insane submission win back in the day. And I just trust in his stand-up to going to be able to get this one done. Like, I don't think you can really, unless you're Pantoja, who's the best grappler in the division, I don't really see you being able to take Moreno down. And I think Moreno's got clean striking, man. I think Moreno's got very clean striking, very crisp boxing. I like his leg kicks as well. But, you know, Amir Albazi has that kind of thing of he can hold you down. But I just don't think he has the whole game to where Moreno's going to be thinking about everything, then gets a takedown, then holds him down. I also don't see him submitting Moreno, and I don't see him landing vicious ground and pound. Moreno's definitely got a lot of shit he needs to overcome in this fight. This is a big one because he's coming off 2 losses. If he loses this fight, it's very unknown to where he goes, because definitely not big enough to make a solid run at bantamweight. Sorry, he's definitely not big enough, and I hope Moreno wins this because he is good for the sport, and I do like Moreno's winning. But the thing is, he's literally beaten or fought all the flyweights, and it's kind of like, how many times are we going to see Moreno in a rematch? That's why I like this fight. Like, how many times are we going to see Moreno in a rematch? I just think Moreno's going to be too much for him on the feet. And I trust in Moreno's takedown defense to be able to get this one done. And I also think Moreno has a skill set where he's going to be able to give Amir Albazi problems on the ground. So yeah, I'm going to go Brandon Moreno on this one. I'm going to go Brandon Moreno decision. I don't think he's going to finish Amir Albazi. I think he's going to be smart enough to where he's not going to get roped up into like a submission. But I just think Moreno, like, Amir Albazi will get him down at some stage, I reckon, for sure. Maybe even every round. But I think Moreno's going to be able to do a lot more. Inflict damage, work that body. You know, he's quite quick as well, Moreno. And he's got an awkward style. So I'm going to go Brandon Moreno on this one. This is a good fight. I'm looking forward to it. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments. Brandon Moreno decision is my official pick. I go 49-46. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching.